Welcome to our very first lecture on animal diversity. Today, we are going to explore one of the most fascinating and extreme survival strategies in the natural world: parasitic adaptations. Imagine trying to live inside a moving, hostile environment like a washing machine that is actively trying to destroy you. That is exactly what a parasite experiences when it enters a host's body. We will discover how these incredible organisms completely transform their bodies, their chemistry, and their reproductive strategies just to stay alive. Let us dive in. To understand why parasites look and act the way they do, we first need to understand the nightmare they live in. When a parasite enters a host, it is not a welcoming home. The host's body is a hostile environment, actively trying to kill the invader. Digestive acids can dissolve them, the immune system hunts them down, and the constant physical movement of the host's organs threatens to flush them out completely. To survive this relentless attack, the parasite cannot just stay the same. It must drastically change its body and lifestyle over evolutionary time, dropping unnecessary organs and developing specialized survival tools. Now that we understand the challenges, let us look at how parasites actually overcome them. They do this through three main types of adaptations. First, morphological adaptations are physical changes. They develop attachment organs like hooks and suckers to hold on tight, and they lose unnecessary structures like eyes or legs. Second, physiological adaptations involve chemical defenses. For instance, they secrete protective anti-enzymes, so they are not digested by the host's stomach acid. Finally, reproductive adaptations are perhaps the most extreme, involving complex life cycles and the production of millions of eggs. Understanding these three pillars is absolutely crucial for human medicine and agriculture, allowing us to design targeted drugs that break these specific survival mechanisms. Let us focus deeply on that third pillar: reproductive adaptations. Why do parasites need to produce millions of eggs? The answer lies in their complex life cycles. A parasite often has to move between different environments and multiple hosts to complete its development. This journey is incredibly deadly. An egg might dry out in the sun, or it might never be eaten by the right intermediate host. Because the probability of any single egg successfully completing this perilous journey is extremely low, parasites have evolved a strategy called hyperfecundity. They invest massive amounts of energy into reproduction, producing tens of thousands of eggs, just to guarantee that one or two offspring survive to continue the species. To truly grasp this reproductive strategy, we can look at the mathematics behind it. This formula models the survival rate of a parasite's offspring. The variable NS represents the final number of surviving offspring that successfully infect a new primary host. NE represents the total number of eggs produced by the adult parasite. The variables P1, P2, and P3 represent the independent probabilities of surviving specific life stages, like exiting the first host or surviving in the outside environment. Because each probability is a very small fraction, multiplying them together gives an incredibly tiny number. If any of these transmission probabilities decrease due to environmental factors, the parasite must physically adapt by increasing NE, the egg production, even further to compensate. Now that we have our formula, let us see this with a concrete example of a parasitic tapeworm. We are given three independent survival probabilities for its life cycle. The probability of an egg being eaten by a pig is 0.01. The probability of the cyst surviving in the pig's muscle is 0.10, And the probability of a human eating undercooked infected pork is 0.05. We need to find the total probability of success. We chose this multiplication approach because these are independent sequential events. By multiplying 0.01 by 0.10 and then by 0.05, we get a total transmission probability of 0.00005. This means only 5 out of every 100,000 eggs will make it. Building on that incredibly low total probability, let us calculate how many eggs the adult tapeworm actually needs to produce. We are given a target of 2 surviving offspring, so NS equals 2. We want to ensure the population grows, not just replaces itself. We rearrange our original survival formula to solve for NE, the initial number of eggs, by dividing NS by the total probability. We plug in our target of 2 and divide it by 0.00005. This yields a final required egg count of 40,000. Physically, this means the adult tapeworm must produce at least 40,000 eggs just to ensure 2 offspring survive to reproduce, perfectly illustrating the adaptation of hyperfecundity. We have seen how parasites adapt reproductively, so let us shift our focus to a fascinating morphological adaptation. Tapeworms live right inside the host's intestine, surrounded by pre-digested food. Because of this, they have completely lost their own digestive system. They simply do not need it. Instead, they absorb nutrients directly through their skin, which is called the tegument. But to absorb enough food to fuel that massive egg production we just calculated, a standard worm shape will not work. Their body shape must change to maximize contact with the food. In biology, the efficiency of absorbing nutrients from the surroundings relative to body mass is determined by the surface area to volume ratio. To understand exactly why the tapeworm's shape is an advantage, we need to look at the geometry. We can model a worm's body as a simple cylinder. This first formula calculates the lateral surface area, represented by S. This is the area of the skin exposed to the environment, which is crucial for absorbing nutrients. In this equation, R is the radius of the worm, and L is its length. If the radius or length increases, the surface area increases linearly. This exposed area is the only way a tapeworm can feed itself. While the surface area absorbs food, the internal body mass consumes it. This brings us to our second geometric formula, which calculates the total volume of the cylindrical body, represented by V. Again, R is the radius and L is the length. Notice that in this formula, the radius is squared. This is a critical mathematical detail. It means that if the worm gets thicker and its radius increases, the internal volume grows much faster than the surface area. A rapidly growing volume means more internal mass that desperately needs to be fed. Now we combine those 2 geometric properties into one crucial metric, the surface area to volume ratio. This formula is simply the surface area, S, divided by the volume, V. The variable RSV represents this ratio. Conceptually, this ratio tells us how much skin area is available to feed each unit of internal body mass. A higher ratio means the organism has a massive amount of surface area relative to its tiny volume, making nutrient absorption highly efficient. If an organism gets thicker, its volume increases rapidly, and this ratio drops, meaning it might starve if it relies only on skin absorption. Let us apply these formulas to a standard cylindrical free-living worm. We are given a radius of 2 millimeters and a length of 100 millimeters. First, we calculate the surface area by multiplying 2 times pi times the radius times the length, giving us 1,256 square millimeters. Next, we calculate the volume by multiplying pi times the radius squared times the length, which also gives us 1,256 cubic millimeters. Finally, we divide the surface area by the volume. 1,256 divided by itself gives us a final ratio of exactly 1. This means for every unit of volume, there is 1 unit of surface area to feed it. Now, let us look at the parasitic tapeworm, which has adapted by becoming flattened and thin. Its length is the same, 100 millimeters, but its radius is drastically reduced to 0.5 millimeters. We calculate its surface area using the same formula, which gives us 314 square millimeters. Then we calculate its volume, which drops significantly to just 78.5 cubic millimeters. When we divide the surface area by the volume, 314 divided by 78.5, we get a final ratio of 4. Physically, this means the tapeworm has 4 units of absorbing skin for every single unit of internal body mass. So we have calculated the ratios, but what does this actually prove about parasitic adaptations? Let us compare the results. The free-living worm has a ratio of 1, while the parasitic tapeworm has a ratio of 4. By dividing the parasite's ratio by the free-living worm's ratio, we establish that the tapeworm is exactly 4 times more efficient at absorbing nutrients from its environment. This mathematical result perfectly explains the intuition behind the morphological adaptation. By becoming extremely thin and flat, the parasite maximizes its surface area while minimizing its internal volume. This high efficiency completely eliminates the need for the parasite to build and maintain its own digestive tract, saving vital energy. To visualize these incredible changes, let us look at this diagram of a tapeworm's anatomy. At the very top, you see the scolex, which functions as the head. Notice the specialized physical tools here, the sharp hooks at the apex and the circular suckers on the sides. These are morphological adaptations designed specifically to anchor the parasite firmly to the host's intestinal wall, preventing it from being flushed out by physical movement. Below the scolex, you see the long, flattened body made of repeating segments called proglottids. This flat shape is exactly what gives them that highly efficient surface area to volume ratio we just proved, allowing them to absorb nutrients directly through their skin. We have covered a lot of ground today, so let us summarize the most important ideas. First, remember that a host's body is a hostile environment, and parasites must undergo extreme morphological, physiological, and reproductive adaptations just to survive. Second, because the journey between hosts is so deadly, parasites rely on hyperfecundity, producing massive numbers of eggs to overcome the incredibly low mathematical odds of transmission. Finally, physical changes, like a flattened body shape, are not random. They maximize the surface area to volume ratio for highly efficient nutrient absorption. You have now seen how biology and mathematics combine to explain one of nature's most extreme survival strategies. Great job following along.